Starting things off at number 10 with the sword hidden inside of an Eiffel Tower statue. An 8-inch double-edged knife was concealed and detected in a replica statue of the Eiffel Tower in a carry-on bag at the airport in Oakland. Why would anyone need something like this in their carry-on bag? What is this person up to? I bet you I could take a wild stab at it. Number 9 brings us over to the survivors' belongings from the earthquake in Haiti. A lot of distraught families in Haiti were scrambled to grab their most important possessions from the wreckage before they were able to flee to safety. However, one man came off a flight from Haiti after the earthquake with a suitcase with nothing but cash and porn. So I guess he just grabbed the two things that was just the most valuable to him. For me, my safety is more valuable than money and porn. He brought no clothes, no keepsakes, no important paperwork, just the cash and just the naked people. Next up, number 8, we have a baby. I think it's common sense to know that you shouldn't place your baby through the X-ray scanner where the carry-on luggage goes, right? Wrong. One couple was arrested in United Arab Emirates when they tried to smuggle their young son who didn't have a visa into the country by packing him inside of a carry-on bag. Of course, security discovered the baby in the bag because of the x-ray machines. Like, what are these people thinking? What are they gonna, like, they're putting this thing in this machine. What do you think that machine does? Like, it sees inside of things. Number 7, we're talking about an aggressive search that left a traveler covered in urine. A man was traveling to a wedding, but he was left humiliated after he had to endure an invasive pat-down search at the airport. Thomas Sawyer was selected for an enhanced search after going through the scanner. He was a bladder cancer survivor, and he has a urostomy bag that collects his urine from an opening in his abdomen. He tried to tell them about his medical condition, but during the pat-down they broke the seal, causing urine to spurt down his clothes. He was forced to walk through the airport soaked in his own urine. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not only smelling urine here. Smelling a lawsuit. Massive flames makes its way into this list at number 6. There was an incident in Atlantic City when a passenger's checked bag exploded into 3-foot-high flames. The fire was caused by a leaking can of hairspray and a lighter which sparked when the bag was being loaded onto the conveyor belt. So here's a life lesson for you guys. Don't put flammable stuff into one concealed container right next to a lighter. Mickey Mouse takes the number 5 spot. The frame of a .40 caliber gun, a loaded magazine, and a firing pin were stuffed inside of a Mickey Mouse stuffed doll that was in a young boy's carry-on bag. The TSA agent stopped the man from bringing this dismantled gun and ammo onto the plane. However, the officers concluded that there was no threat at any time to air safety, so they actually allowed the man and the son to continue on their way, but after confiscating their weapon. I don't know about you guys, but I would have a few more questions. They wouldn't be getting on that plane. Number 4 is cocaine Easter eggs. US officials have arrested a man who tried to smuggle cocaine into ordinary looking Easter eggs. People are just trying to be clever, but you can't fool the system. Esteban Galtis was arrested after security confiscated more than 6 kilograms of cocaine hidden inside of his luggage. If he is convicted on a drug trafficking charges, he could face a maximum sentence of life in prison. The cocaine has an estimated street value of more than $100,000, and the US officials said that their suspicions were raised by the sight of Easter eggs in his luggage just 2 days before Christmas. So buddy, you have the wrong holiday here. So I guess if you're tempted to use this technique to smuggle cocaine, do it near Easter time! Like, oh my god, come on. Moving up this list at number 3 is an assault that nearly caused brain damage. A woman named Robin Kastner was arrested by TSA screeners and airport police as she attempted to pass through the gate to board her flight with a bottle of contact lens solution in her bag. She was grabbed by the arms, pinned to the ground, and her head was slammed so hard into the inspection table that it caused a concussion and possibly brain damage. She was locked in a cell and later released and charged with obstruction of justice, but because of the security footage of the assault, she was able to launch a lawsuit against the airport for $10 million. Number 2, we have the story about 18 severed heads. Surprisingly, packing 18 severed heads into your luggage isn't a problem if you have all the paperwork, but packing 18 severed heads into your luggage and then the airline lost your luggage is a huge problem. Back in 2016, these misplaced severed heads made headlines when they were misplaced at the Chicago O'Hare International Airport. They were intended to be used as medical specimens, but there was a mix-up with some paperwork. Can you just imagine your security? You just open it and there's just heads there? What do you do? What do you do? Finally, number 1, we're talking about people who have attempted to smuggle in a dead body. I mean, Some people would rather face prosecution charges in order to avoid paying extra to transport a corpse. You would be surprised at how many people would actually attempt this. This was a family that tried to smuggle a 91-year-old dead man onto a flight by putting him into sunglasses, and they sat him in a wheelchair. This is no movie. This is no joke. I wonder if anyone, like, who would get away with this? I'm not too sure. I'm not sure why these people think they're so clever they can trick the system. I mean, in this situation, they tried to bring a dead man through security and board him onto a plane. How would this be successful? Starting all of this craziness in at number 10 with the man who attempted to smuggle gold bars up his butt. A male traveler was taken into custody at the airport in India after metal detectors revealed that he was concealing gold inside of his rectum. They found 12 gold bars that weighed 1.2 kilograms inside of his butt. Officials also flagged his bag, and they discovered that he was also concealing another 8 gold bars that were hidden in the back covers of some lighting equipment. So in total, he was hiding about 2 kilograms of gold. Let's just say his butt was worth about $114,000 that day. Next up, number 9, we have pigeons. A passenger who landed in Melbourne back in 2009 was stopped after he arrived from his 10-hour flight from Dubai after security discovered that he had attempted to smuggle in 2 live pigeons that were hidden in each sock and wrapped in padded envelopes for extra protection. I'm not really sure like what's gonna happen here. You're leaving with live birds when you land. Are they gonna be alive? I don't know. The birds miraculously made it out alive, and the man was arrested on the scene for just being stupid. Number 8 has us talking about the American Airlines controversy. The video shows a distraught mother holding her baby moments after a flight attendant had apparently forcibly taken a stroller from her. Witnesses on the plane said that the flight attendant violently took the stroller from this lady and hit her on the head, just missing the baby. This just happened in the news, and this was after the United Airlines incident. Then the flight attendant tried to fight another passenger who was trying to stand up for the woman. Crazy story. Number 7, we got cocaine smugglers. 2 people are facing federal drug smuggling charges after flying from the Dominican Republic to New York with bags of cocaine taped around their legs. The Customs and Border Protection officers determined that the cocaine was held in place with multiple layers of tape, and it was valued at nearly $400,000. The 2 suspects were arrested and handed over to Homeland Security, where they will be prosecuted by the U.S. Attorney's Office. And number 6 is heroin smugglers. We got more of the drugs, the drug dealers, yeah. For some reason they think they can get away with it. Well, 2 men are under arrest for attempting to smuggle heroin through the JFK airport inside of a dog carrier along with a dog. So they just put a whole bunch of cocaine near the dog because, you know, the dogs will be unaffected. Well, they were charged with drug possession and conspiracy after more than 22 pounds of heroin was found inside of the false bottom of a dog crate. The drugs were estimated to be worth at least $1 million. United Airlines controversy makes its way onto this list at number 5. This incident was captured on several devices on the aircraft that caused a huge PR nightmare for the airline. Basically, United Airlines overbooked the flight, and they asked if, you know, any volunteers, would you get off, take the next plane, we'll give you some money in exchange, you know, some monetary compensation. Everyone declined. They were forced to select 4 passengers at random to leave the aircraft. Okay, you are leaving. Well, one man wouldn't give up his seat. He was dragged out of the plane by security. He was knocked out, like the security bashed his head. He was just knocked out like this. And his shirt was up, you can see his belly out, and it was just dragged lifeless through this plane. That is so traumatizing. What is going on right now? So the man turned out to be a doctor, and he was filmed being brutally dragged off this plane and bleeding from his head. Apparently he didn't want to give up his seat because he had patients to go see the next day. Reasonable, right? Why not be like, hey, we need 1 more volunteer, and see if someone else will do it. Maybe offer $2 grand, $3 grand, $4 grand. It seems like a lot of money, but think about it. You guys lost almost $1 billion because of this. So heck, even offer this guy $100 million. You would have still saved money. I would get off for just $1 million. 100 mil? Raw animal brains comes into this list at number 4. A woman who was flying into Dallas Fort Worth International Airport was found with 22 pounds of illegal animal parts in her suitcase. U.S. Customs and Border Protection officials confiscated raw brains, hearts, heads, tongues, feet, and other body parts from chickens. There were some pig parts in there, some cow parts in there as well. Was the woman really trying to eat these things? I mean, I'm really picky, but I don't know. These meat products are illegal because they are potentially carriers for harmful diseases that would seriously damage their agriculture. Number 3 brings us to the man who stabbed himself in the head. What? A man was taken to the hospital after he stabbed himself with a sharp object at Heathrow Airport in London. You know, one of the busiest airports in the world. He had passed through the airport security checks, and then he started cutting himself near the departure lounges. So what is this real life right now? Two airline employees disarmed him before the police and paramedics arrived. Luckily, his injuries weren't life-threatening, but a crazy story, and I hope he got himself some help. Fort Lauderdale shootings makes its way into this list at number 2. An Army veteran who claimed that the government was controlling his mind by forcing him to watch ISIS videos took out a gun from his checked baggage and opened fire in the baggage claim area, killing 5 people and wounding 8 others. The gunman was identified as 26-year-old Esteban Santiago, and he served in Iraq, but he was discharged for unsatisfactory performance. People were panicking and trying to find coverage because he would just go around shooting people without saying a word. Now at number 1, smuggling 20 tons of cocaine. A dozen current and former TSA officials and airport employees are facing charges that are related to a cocaine smuggling operation that has been in operation for at least 2 decades. I mean, wow. The suspects allegedly transported cocaine-filled suitcases through airport security at the airport in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and approximately 20 tons of cocaine made it through. Drug mules would drop off cocaine in suitcases at the airline's check-in counter, and one of the suspects would put them through the x-ray machine. And another suspect would have allowed the suitcase to pass through the security to make sure, you know, it avoids the detection along the way. That is a lot of cocaine, and this is quite the operation, but it's finally been busted after 2 decades. Let's get started with this list at number 10 with the man caught smuggling spiders inside of a gaming cartridge. On the outside, these gaming cartridges looked innocent enough, but upon opening up the cartridge, police found 73 spiders stuffed into each game. This is the weirdest thing to try to smuggle into a country. Was this a part of some revenge scheme, or does this person just really like spiders? Now at number 9, we're talking about a wheelchair-bound passenger that was caught smuggling gold. Customs officials arrested a 63-year-old man after he was trying to use his wheelchair as a cover in order to smuggle gold at one of India's airports. During an interrogation, he admitted he was smuggling 4 bars that he kept in the pockets of his shorts that he was wearing underneath his pants, and it was tied with rope. Flying our way into number 8 is a Russian man who tried to open the door mid-air. This is a really crazy story, guys. He was taken to court where he was fined for attempting to open the door of a plane, which scared the passengers and sent the crew into panic. Apparently he'd been drinking a lot of alcohol on the plane. Okay, so I'm not sure what all the charges were, but when he was set free, he had to pay about $800 in fines. Coming up at number 7, we have an airport that was on lockdown after a man threatened to blow up a plane. Witnesses said the man tried to enter the cockpit with a detonator before he was taken down by passengers. He was restrained shortly after the plane took off. This is from Melbourne to Kuala Lumpur. This is a really recent story, guys. This was just in the news. The man's wife claimed that her husband was under the influence of drugs or alcohol. Wildlife smuggling kingpin comes into this list at number 6. Authorities have arrested a Japanese man who was heavily involved in the illegal wildlife trade when he attempted to smuggle more than 250 reptiles out of Indonesia. He was arrested after customs officials found 181 lizards, 65 snakes, 7 turtles in his luggage. They seized 12 different species, 3 of which are endangered. Next up at number 5 is a man arrested for smuggling dozens of exotic birds into LAX. This man was taken into custody after border protection officials found 50 live birds and 43 dead birds that were concealed in his luggage. He arrived at Los Angeles International Airport from Vietnam, and this is when officials immediately seized the birds and they put them into quarantine. He was arrested and charged with smuggling goods into the United States, which is a felony offense if convicted. He could face up to 20 years in a federal prison. Making our way into number 4, we will be talking about an airport worker who tried to smuggle heroin wrapped as Christmas presents. When airport officials checked in his bag, they were shocked to discover that the man had been attempting to smuggle 13 pounds of heroin that has a street value worth of more than $2 million. He was arrested and could face a mandatory minimum sentence of 10 years in prison if convicted. Maybe him and Birdman can just live in a jail forever. Just forget about him in there. Alright, next up, at the number 3 spot is a woman caught smuggling leopard and elephant parts. She was detained after customs discovered that she was carrying leopard skin, ivory, and other African wildlife products. The 62-year-old woman had 3 leopard skins, 4 kilograms of ivory, and 9 elephant tails. The total value of these goods is estimated to be around $88,000. Cruising into number 2 spot, we have a grandma accused of smuggling in $500,000 in cocaine. I mean, grandma, what are you doing? This 63-year-old woman is behind bars after she was caught smuggling $500,000 worth of cocaine through Detroit's Metro Airport. After airport security searched through her belongings, they discovered that she had 13 kilograms of cocaine in her suitcase. Her defense attorney argued that she was just a drug mule and that she has some serious mental problems. And finally, the number 1 spot, we have women who were caught smuggling 13 pounds of horse genitals at a DC airport. What? Did I just read that right? 13 pounds horse genitals. Well, I guess we heard it right. Altogether, airport officials discovered that these 2 women were smuggling in 40 pounds of horse meat, which included 13 pounds of horse genitals, and they were also hiding 3 liters of yak milk, whatever that is. The meat was hidden inside of juice boxes, and they claimed that it was for medical purposes. That's what every person says when they get caught with drugs, right? But actually, none of these women were charged with anything. Starting us off, number 10, we have this. Is this real life right now? These are birds that were found in this guy's pants. This 23-year-old man was caught traveling from Dubai to Melbourne, Australia with birds shoved down his pants. The guy actually made the trip to Australia, and it wasn't until security officers stopped this man because they found bird eggs in the passenger's vitamin container. Also, the security heard the birds cooing, so that was another dead giveaway. This man was searched and the birds were saved. When it comes to Australia, they have a very strict and contained ecosystem, and foreign species, plants, or disease can be pretty catastrophic. Moving into number 9 on our list, we have a bomb vest. I kid you not, take a look at this. Imagine being an officer who goes through all the scans. Okay, next, and then all of a sudden you see this. I would be freaking out. I don't know what I would do. I would probably just quit. Well, TSA actually posted this onto their Instagram account at TSA. I didn't even know that this thing existed until I did the research for this video. I didn't know they had their own, social media. This picture was posted back 2013, and this was in someone's checked bag, and this was at the Indianapolis International Airport. The officers that day found 30 electric matches, a bag of potassium chloride, a bag of titanium powder, and a suicide vest. After investigation, officers found out these items were just used for training, and the explosives trainer was actually able to properly identify himself. At number 8, we have a skull that was found, and yes, we're talking about a human skull. In fact, we're talking about 6 human skulls that were discovered in someone's luggage when they went through airport security. Could a mass murderer be trying to flee the country with all of his victims? I mean, maybe. It could be plausible. Well, the story gets pretty creepy. 2 American tourists actually attempted to take these human skulls home after their trip from Greece as souvenirs. Greece does have the catacombs of Melos, and I'm assuming that these skulls were in there. So these 2 people decided, you know what, this is a great idea. We're gonna use these as souvenirs to remember our trip. And they actually brought human skulls to the airport. They told security officers they were fake, but after examining them, they were authenticated. They were real. I have no idea what they were thinking. At number 7, we have a bag of eels. Someone tried to sneak past TSA agents. How would security miss something like that? What was this person even thinking? It makes no sense to me. Did they think no one would catch them with a bag of eels? Oh, and it doesn't stop there. This person tried to sneak in 163 tropical fishes. I mean, that would suck being that person who has to count every single fish. Alright, fish number 1, fish 2, fish 3. The passenger was forced to surrender all the animals to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services. From eels to now something much bigger at number 6. This next person really wanted to test the limits of security. Take a look at this. This is a computer hard drive, but more importantly, inside of it is a python. A smuggler tried to be crafty with this one. They actually made snakes on a plane a real thing.
Enough is enough! I have had it with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane! Everybody.
So this person was traveling to Barbados from Florida and thought it was a great idea to bring this massive snake on a plane. When the Transportation Security Administration, the TSA, saw something weird on their monitor, they called in Samuel L. Jackson. I mean, they called in a bomb expert because they weren't sure. But after investigating it, it ended up being this python, and the snake was actually alive. The passenger was fined and the snake was taken into custody by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services. I think this is animal cruelty, and this man should have some jail jail time. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think? Alright, number 5, take a look at this. This looks to be an Eiffel Tower souvenir, right? Well, you'd be so wrong. This person tried to be clever and very sneaky because this is not an ordinary Eiffel Tower. It's actually a double-edged sword. Take a look at this. When you take off the cover, it's a knife. The knife measures in over 30 centimeters. I mean, it's bigger than a ruler stick. It seems like this person went to a lot of trouble to get this done, and I'm sure he got arrested. I just wonder what they're going to be able to craft up in prison. They might try, you know, the CN Tower. Moving into number 4, okay, I know iPhones have gotten really expensive, but for some reason I'm okay with Apple taking all my hard-earned money. I love going into debt for Apple. I don't know why. Well, we have this one guy who doesn't want to pay for iPhones. This man attempted to smuggle 94 iPhones. I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of impressed with this one. I mean, this guy got caught, but I wonder if there are other people out there who attempted this who was able to get away with it. It must have been so embarrassing once this guy was caught, because I don't know if you guys can tell from the pictures, but he actually strapped some of these iPhones to his private areas. This guy clearly wasn't thinking, because I would be freaking out if I had to use the washer. But luckily, the iPhones have an IP68 rating, so it's pretty waterproof if an accident does happen. Okay, what the heck am I talking about right now? Let's move on. Like, am I talking about an IP rating when this guy pees himself? Moving into number 3, we have this. What do you guys think this is? When I first saw it, I'm thinking a lightsaber. But I was slightly wrong with that one. This is actually a lipstick that was found in a woman's carry-on bag. But that's not the scary part, because I wouldn't just be talking about, oh my god, a lipstick, that's absolutely terrifying. It ended up not being a lipstick. Well, it actually ended up being a 350,000 volt stun gun. This just went from 0 to 100 fast. I don't know what the intentions of this person is. You know, why do they have a stun gun? And it would be pretty scary if the stun gun was used in the plane and somehow it like short-circuited and the plane was having some electrical problems. And also, I wouldn't want to be sitting next to this person just in case you upset her. Number 2. Alright, so you know how we had a bomb vest, but that was just for testing? Well, security at the airport actually found 4 grenades in a passenger's bag. I tried to find out if they were live grenades. I wasn't able to find out. They might have been. All I know is that TSA was able to quickly spot it. They probably freaked out, cleared out the airport, got the bomb squad in, and they had to, you know, safely remove it. The men who tried to smuggle these in were arrested. Hopefully he has a bomb of a time in prison. I mean, what a dumb thing to do. Finally, number 1, we have 1,500 smuggled turtles that were still alive. The turtles were found smuggled in an abandoned bag at Manila Airport in the Philippines. I guess someone was about to get caught and they dipped hard. The turtles were worth over $100,000. I don't even know how turtles are worth that much. Apparently there were some rare turtles, including star turtles, red-footed turtles, skullcata turtles, and there were even red-eared sliders. Some of these are protected turtles, but someone clearly tried to take advantage of that. I think it's just so cruel, and look how they're all just like taped up like that. And I really hope that they were being sold as, you know, pets and not as food. And how the heck did someone try to smuggle in 1,500 turtles? How can you think, you know, I have a chance of not being caught? Moving on to 250 venomous snakes that a man tried to get through airport security, which took place in Argentina. Well, this dangerously comes in to number 9. So the man was identified as 51-year-old Carol. He's a Czech citizen en route to Spain when an airport officials made him open up his baggage at Buenos Aires International Airport. After police spotted the reptiles in the airport X-ray scanner, they found all these endangered species that were packed inside plastic containers, bags, and even socks. Authorities believe that this man was a courier for a criminal organization that smuggles in exotic species. Carol was sent off to jail, but he was released on a $2,500 bail. There was a court date that put him away for 10 years in prison. Something you don't see every day is this dangerous thing right here. And I'm talking about the suicide bomber's vest, and this comes in at number 8. The suicide vest was found in the Indonesia International Airport. The passenger who was carrying it was an explosives instructor. Also found inside of the bag was 30 electric matches and unopened packets of potassium chloride and titanium powder, which is highly combustible compounds, which is used to make explosives. And these were the items that was inside of his carry-on baggage. So it asks the question whether or not he intended to blow up the plane that he was about to get on. This is a very scary moment and the exact reason why we have airport security. And now moving on into the number 7 spot, we have a dead body that was found. Back in 2010, 2 German women were caught by security when they were found traveling with a dead person. The deceased was identified as a 91-year-old man. They pushed him in a wheelchair and put sunglasses on his face so no one will know that he isn't alive. When people asked about him, his wife just said, he's old. He's sleeping. But then security realized, he's sleeping, but why isn't he breathing? So now they got caught, and now they're facing charges of giving notification of death. So when someone dies, you have to tell the authorities or the government. You can't just go on with life. It needs to be reported, documented. Human skull fragments comes into the number 6 spot. Passengers in Fort Lauderdale, Florida was seriously delayed in the airport back in 2013 when airport security confiscated what appears to be clay pots that was in a checked baggage. However, the pots contained fragments of human skull. According to the airport security, the passengers didn't realize that their souvenir contained human skull fragments. So just like that father who bought those stuffed animals and had no idea that there's weapons inside, same story with them. Maybe they read about his story and thought, hey, maybe we can get away with it too. Well, it turned out that the pieces of human skull, it wasn't a security threat. It was actually for science. And the police investigated it and realized that it wasn't a part of any crime scenes that they know of. So they let them through. Coming in at number 5, we have a 2-month-old baby tiger that was found in a woman's suitcase who was flying from Bangkok to Iran. Authorities found the baby cub drugged and hidden within clothes. The cub is now under the protection of Thailand's Department of National Park Wildlife and Plant Conservation. This tiger is a part of threatened and endangered species. Bangkok's International Airport hosts flights for more than 30,000 people each year, and it has become a major hub of Asian wildlife smuggling, unfortunately. It's not often that a little baby tiger is being smuggled, but what is common is snakes, turtles, and other exotic reptiles. Okay, so let's talk about this shocking 8-year-old boy that was found in someone's luggage. And he was found when he was going through an x-ray machine, and this comes in at number 4. Border Control officials have discovered the suitcase after the image was seen on their display monitors. It was a disturbing x-ray picture of a small boy. I mean, is this real life right now? What is going on? The boy was 8 years old from Ivory Coast, and border officials said that he was in a terrible state. The mother and father was arrested when they attempted to smuggle him out of the country. The boy's father said that he wanted to bring his son into Canary Islands with him. Okay, moving on, take a look at this picture right here. This was a bag of eels that was discovered in a passenger's carry-on at the Miami International Airport, and it electrifies into the number 3 spot. Discovered was 22 live eels to go along with 163 marine tropical fish, turtles, and coral. The passengers tried to get them into Maracaibo, Venezuela. The passengers was of course arrested and charged. The smuggling wildlife was eventually handled over to the US Fish and Wildlife Service. What gets even weirder than that was another person found in the suitcase, but this time it was a 2-month-old baby. The mother who smuggles comes in to number 2. An infant was discovered when it went through an x-ray machine at Nanoy Aquino International Airport, which is located in the Philippines. The mother was 25 years old from Papua New Guinea. She was a nurse graduate who tried to leave the country, but she didn't have the correct documentations for the 2-month-old. So she decided, you know what? I don't need documentation. I'm gonna put my baby into the suitcase and go fly. I'm not really sure how suffocating your kid, potentially killing them, is worth taking a risk on. But for her, filling out paperwork, this solution that she did was way better than doing that. So finally, we have all made it to the craziest thing found by airport security, and we're talking about 18 severed heads, and this comes in to number. Customs agent found the human head still covered in skin and wrapped in plastic at Chicago's O'Hare International Airport. US Customs and Border Protection are currently investigating whether this foreign shipment is legitimate medical specimens. If it was for medical reasons, this would be okay, but if not, well, we have a huge investigation on 12 deaths. These people were beheaded. Who knows where their body is, and their heads are being shipped around the world. Can you imagine working border control that day and you're looking for guns and weapons, but then boom, here's a head, here's another one. I really do hope that that this is for science and this wasn't a murder scene.